I don't know how many pounds of gas station food I've eaten during the months of September through January, but hello. It's a lot. Probably not healthy. Hot. All right, well, half of the shopping's done. $300 later in Walmart. We've got everything that's not refrigeratable. I didn't get ice or propane. The main reason we came here.
All right, it's that time of year. September 1st is coming in quick, and we're headed to Sand River Outfitters in Nebraska. One of my favorite hunts of the year. It's incredible the amount of deer that are out here, and this is my second year. Last year, Blake invited me out for the first time, and he said, this is an insane place to hunt. You just need to come and do it. And now I don't think I'm ever gonna not go back. Like it is, I have never seen anything like it. "2019, this hunt's coming up quick. We've been practicing. Blake invited a friend of his out, Jamie Boer, and we're off the grid. You don't have any self-service, and it's just a great time just hanging out with friends and talking. You don't have your phone in your way, and you know you have a chance at a deer, and a big deer at that.
Usually it's been getting light around 6:30, 6:45, but it's so foggy this morning, and it's something that happens out here early season, but so foggy that we don't know really how far we're going to be able to see this morning. So the place really for us to be ideally is about 300 yards from the truck to where we can spot and kind of view this whole canyon. But I don't want to risk going up there in the dark and in the fog, and if we're not able to see anything. So hopefully the fog pushes him back late to move to, but you know, who knows what's going to happen with it. So we'll ride it out.
We go out and everybody kind of goes separate directions. Trey's hunting with Jamie because Jamie had never even been out west, had no clue what he was doing at all. And John had been there a year before and had kind of picked up on what to do. So John went on his own with the camera guy, and then I had my camera guy and went to a different area. And I was blessed. You know, the area I was in was just loaded with some giants. And when I say giants, just some unreal stuff. I had I don't even know how big this mule deer was, but double main beam, which I'd never seen before. We see him on the first day, and I'm like, holy crap, we got to get on this deer. So they had a lot of rainfall out there and a lot of growth, and man, we start moving on this deer, and we get up on him, and it's kind of a weird layout to where I'm trying to get the camera guy to where he can get the angle on the deer to where I can still kill the deer. And we end up getting up to an area and got within like 50 yards of him, and I thought I had the yardage, guessed right, pulled the bow back, and we let her fly. So it's never good to miss. I always like a clean miss though, as opposed to wounding an animal, and I was blessed with that. But I just guessed the yardage wrong. It was really my fault. There's no one else to blame with it. I got to get better at guessing yardage, especially out there. It's just so much different. Me coming from the Midwest and, you know, kind of having a tree so I can judge what 10 yards is. I can double that to 20. I can triple that to 30. That's kind of how I do it at home. And out there, there's no trees. Everything looks alike, and you're just kind of guessing. And I didn't have time to range in that situation. I was trying to get it done, but just didn't have the time to do it. But ultimately, you know, it's Sand River Outfitters. I'm gonna get another chance. We're early in our hunt. There's a couple other great deer, plus this deer is still running around. So we're pretty optimistic that we're gonna get in front of another one.
So we've been out scouting. Jamie's on to a big 3x3, and he's got in his head that that's the deer he wants. And day 2, he's got it down. He comes in, he's pumped up, and he shot a beautiful velvet 3x3 muley. All the meanwhile, Blake's got the good spot tied up. Turns out all the big bucks are hanging in one bachelor group in like one area. I'm talking maybe 100-acre little square. And so Blake's on them every day, and gives me the opportunity to go check out a new farm that Trey's been watching. That evening, go in blind. I'm just gonna sit on this hillside and glass, and I get in and set my spot scope down, go to look in the scope, and instantly there's a deer in the spotting scope. And not only just a deer, but a big deer. It's a big whitetail. And I had already said I'm not shooting a whitetail. I can shoot whitetails at home, so I'm after a muley. And so I look at through the scope a little bit more. I'm sizing this deer up, and Anson pretty much said that I'm not coming home if I don't shoot that deer, because it's a big deer.
All right, so it's day 3 here, Sand River Outfitters. Man, we set this farm this morning, glassed it from the roof, couldn't see anything. So this evening we came back and got into the canyons. Right off the bat, saw a big whitetail. So it got up, he rebedded, and got the actual went perfect where we're at, where we want to be. So let's go see if we can knock him down.
I'm shooting this whitetail now. I've looked at him long enough. He's huge, and he's in velvet, even better. We got a perfect play. We watched him go up in a bowl, and now we're gonna put the stalk on. We poke through the sunflowers to get up into this wheat stubble field and to get into the bowl. And as we're walking out, he is walking out as well. Right into the open field. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and there's no reason for a big mature whitetail to be coming out into an open stubble field, but here he comes anyway. I know a big whitetail isn't gonna sit there and take this too long, so I rushed my shot, and over the shoulder, literally just missed him.
Did you see that?
Did spin when I shot him, and it ended up coming up to the bottom of the spine and dropping him. So we go up and put another shot on him and put him out. And I've got the biggest velvet buck I've ever killed in my life. And after trying to go get a muley, I've now got a whitetail, and I'm gonna have to go back next year to get a muley. Well, there it is, successful hunt here at Sand River Outfitters, Trey Ballinger in Nebraska. He's got some amazing deer. Every day we've been on deer, and we all have. Jamie got his buck last night, nice mule deer. So, man, if you're looking for a good hunt, make sure you call Sand River Outfitters.
Well, we're on our next to last day here at Sand River, and we've seen some great deer, had a bunch of encounters. Had one that I missed the very first night we were here, double main beam, just a giant mule deer, but all in all, we've walked a couple good deer, and it seems like we just can't get in front of them again. I don't know what the deal is, but we've been hunting hard. We've been here since daylight. Trey, last night, we said kind of high. Trey saw a giant deer about 200 yards in front of us. He was the big typical. He's probably 200 inches, but saw him last night here. So we're kind of in the middle. We know we got this buck behind us. That's an old deer that I probably won't walk again if he comes by us. And then we've got the big one. So we've got a day and a half really left to do it this afternoon and all day tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So we spend the next like 3 days trying to get on this one specific deer, this double main beam buck, and just can't get it right. It seems like he's one step ahead of us all the way through. I'd walked a couple really nice mule deer in between that time. We had a great 4x4 underneath us that we could have shot probably 5 or 6 different times. He was within 20 yards, got some great footage of him. Had a couple other deer that we moved in on, we thought were bigger. Once we got in close to them, realized they weren't that big a deer and kind of let them go. But ultimately we came down to the last day, and last day, you know, Jamie had tagged out, John had tagged out already, so Trey's free. First deer we see is a big 4x4, probably a 60s 4x4 with about a 6-inch drop tine. A doe, I guess, had come over the hill behind me. I didn't realize it. And she blew, and the second she blew, that buck bounded out of his bed and went about 6 feet to the left. And when he did that, he put a cedar tree between me and him. And I could just see the back of his vitals, and I have a cedar tree right next to me. So I draw the bow when he jumps, and I lean to my right enough to where I can get enough of his vitals. When I let the bow off, I hear like a slap, and I didn't know what happened, but looking back on it now, I realized that when I had leaned to the right, I leaned into that cedar tree and actually put a limb across my arrow. So it was out of my line of sight and out of my peep, but where my arrow came off my rest, there was a cedar limb. So as soon as that arrow came off the bow, it hit that cedar limb and goes over his back. So I missed this deer at 15 yards. Keep in mind that that day we had bedded that buck, but we'd also bedded another buck that was on up the draw a little ways. So we're like, okay, regroup, let's get this together, let's go kill this other deer. So we get everything together, get everybody together, get up on this other deer where I'd marked where he was, and it's in a ditch, and it's a really, really cool stock because it's, you know, pretty much flat ground like pasture, but then there's this giant like 6 foot deep ditch that's only probably 4 foot wide. And as I'm working down through there, I'm looking for him, and I get almost to the edge, and actually pretty much to the edge where I can see the majority of it, and there's a bend in the creek, and I'm like, well, he must be behind that bend right there, just, you know, 20 or 30 yards over to my right. As I'm looking at that, all of a sudden I hear a commotion below me, and this buck had bedded. I mean, he was probably 5 feet from me. I could have, if I would have just stepped forward and jumped off the ledge, I would have landed on him. He was literally directly underneath me. that was the conclusion. That was my last day. I really can't ask for any more. I had 3 opportunities on 3 just world-class mule deer that you really wouldn't see, just aren't common mule deer to see. And ultimately, I had no one to blame but myself for it. I'm working on guessing yardage. That's something I got to work on out there a lot more. Even kind of change some stuff up in my equipment to where my rangefinder is a little bit more readily available, a little quicker with it. Stuff like that, just to try to get better. You always try to learn from your mistakes, and that's all we can do as hunters. But ultimately, man, just a great hunt. I'm glad that John got it done on a giant whitetail. I'm glad that Jamie got his first mule deer killed. That was a success for us. And ultimately, man, just excited to go back there.
Yeah.
What happened?
It's the don't believe it buck is actually what it is. This is the don't believe it buck. I'm trying to get my release, and I'm getting a knock. He's still standing there. I'm like, there is no way he's gonna let me draw. And I pull back. I'm like, can't believe it. You let me draw. Can't believe it. So there I am, and I'm like, he's been here way too long. He's getting ready to bolt. A shot right over his back.
Oh my God.
Can't believe it. Can't believe it. So I'm like, and he starts moving. He bounds this way, getting closer. I'm like, he's getting closer. Can't believe it. So anyway, I settle in, just let it go, and it hits him. Hits him right here. Oh my God.
Pinwheeled him.
And he drops in his tracks.
No way.
I said, I can't believe it.